Hello everyone. Today I will explain 5 technical questions from the CCNA exam. Let's look at the first question. For the first question, we're asked to refer to this diagram. The diagram here is a bit small, so I'll enlarge it a bit. It says that the engineer on this device labeled 21, then to the left side 21 interface be connecting to an MPLS VPN network. Through this VPN network, he learned the route for VLAN 25, meaning he obtained the VLAN 25 route from this side. So what we want to know is what happened to the original route in the routing table, the one that was learned from this direction. In other words, what is the expected behavior for this route? We want it to remain in the routing table, right? Because after all, this path is still viable. If the MPLS VPN link, that is, the MPLS link fails, this route can serve as a backup path. So we want it to stay here. So the correct answer is D. Let's look at the correct answer is D. Alright, the second question. The second question asks, which two of the following operations will affect EIGRP's route selection process? Now, regarding EIGRP's route selection process, when it calculates the route to a destination, it refers to a value for all paths called the feasible distance. When the router calculates the best backup path to the destination route, yes, it will also refer to this best backup path. And also, it designates a feasible successor router. Now, when it designates a feasible successor router, actually, there is an issue with the E answer here. There should be an E option here, so it needs to specify a backup router, the feasible successor router, and also refer to the feasible distance. Well, these two answers are correct. B and D are correct. E is incorrect. When we select D, E will include E as well. So the correct answer is actually earlier. So just check that one. It's like before, when there was a correct answer at the end, we didn't select it. But the correct answer was actually at the end. This question is the same. It's just misaligned. So you should select B and D as the answers. Let's take a look at the correct answers. B and D. Alright, let's look at the third question. For the third question, it says this is an OSPF link, meaning between router 1 and 2, it's OSPF. Then, from site which is B on router 3, we send a packet destined for site A, that is, the target site is A. So when sending to this address, how should this traffic be routed? So we check the routing table, right? For the destination, 10.1, 13.128, none of the routes in the routing table match, right? There's no match. So it's not possible to reach this address. It can't get to the address of site A. So the correct answer is option D, which means it can't be sent, right? This data packet cannot be sent. Choose D. All right, let's look at the fourth and fifth. The fourth question. The fourth question says that the dual host standby HSRP protocol has two expected behaviors, meaning that between the two devices, they definitely need to negotiate, right? During the negotiation, one of them will act as the active device, and the other will be the standby, that is the backup, right? Then one device operates as the active one, and the standby as the backup, just waits if the active one has a problem, it will take over and start working. So the correct answer is A. But since we need to choose two answers, the other answer is option E. However, there's an issue with option E in the latter part, right? In option E, the correct part is that The two routers share a virtual IP, right? They share this virtual IP, and this virtual IP serves as the gateway below. As the gateway of this lousy network below, the gateway of this lousy network, right? So the correct answers are A and E, but you can't choose E. If I select D, then E becomes incorrect. This is an issue with the question bank. When we take the exam, the correct answers are A and E, these two options. All right, let's look at the correct answer. This is a multiple choice question, remember that. And option E is correct. All right, question five. It also asks us to look at this diagram. Let me paste the diagram here, it's too small. This diagram, look at this diagram. What it means, roughly speaking, is that we're going from the New York router to Atlanta, right? This router, or rather going to this Washington router and this Atlanta's router, both of them have routes. There are paths available to both, passive routes. There are paths to both. So if I want to go to this router, its primary path should go out from this interface, right? It needs to go out through this 000 interface. Now, if there's a failure here, I need to have a path that can reach this, right? So for our primary path, we just write a static route, a route to 2001. Who should the next hop be? It should go through 2012. Now, as for the path between 2012, let's look at the right side. The destination address is 2001, and this is the Atlantis router. It's a 000 interface, which is 2012. So the next hop goes through here, through this point, right? This is a default route. Now, we also have another default route. That is, if there's a failure here, we want to go to the right to reach this, to reach the destination. So we need to go to the Washington router, to this router. Our destination still hasn't changed. The destination remains the same, right? So we need to write 2001. The destination is the loopback interface on it. 2001, right? That's our destination. So where is our next hop? It's this one, the interface on the right, which is the S00 interface on the Washington router, right? Which way do we go? We go via 2023, and this is exactly the next hop, right? So the correct answers for this question are A and E. A and E. Let's check the correct answers, A and E. All right, submit. If you want to learn Cisco technologies or get access to Cisco question banks, please send me a private message, or you can leave a comment below the video for technical discussions.